So the first thing is make a commitment. Write it down and make it plain.
Make
right?
a commitment.
Make a commitment to the goals
Right.
that you want and put them in bite-sized nuggets. 90-day increments work for me.
Yeah.
Every 90 days, whatever you said day 1, you should be done on day 90. Right?
For sure.
What does that look like? And doing the actionable steps every 90 days that help you get to the yearly goals. 90-day goals. I think that is a great way to start chopping down your goals for the year.
What's going on? We're glad to have you at another episode of Minding Your Biz podcast. Listen, everything that you hear or see on this podcast episode is for educational purposes only. We have not seen your books. We have not seen your specific situation. Make sure you please seek your financial advisor for anything pertaining to your situation. Peace. What's going on, y'all? It's another episode of Minding Your Biz. Happy New Year, right? We in the new year. We on to another episode. I'm one of your hosts, Dr. BlackWealth.
And I am Mrs. Fab Financial.
What's going on? So listen, it's the new year.
It is.
2024.
Right?
Everybody got resolutions. New year, new me, or however it goes.
I'm older. I just had a birthday.
Yeah. That's true. I know, huh? So we done passed birthdays, Christmas, and New Year.
Yeah, right? Right at the end of the year. Getting me ready for the new season.
So what kind of goals you got for this year?
Well, I'm definitely want to increase tax productivity, increase clientele, be more forward facing with my clients, just showing up more for them. That's my goal for this season. I do goals in 90-day increments. It helps me actually address and do the goal versus laying out this gigantic goal and trying to.
They seem far-reaching. For
sure. So I take it down to bite-size and 90-day increments. It helps me to say, hey, did I do what I was supposed to do in that 90-day stretch? Right. So, so being more my first quarter, January, February, March, to be more forward-facing to my clients, to reach out to my clients via email and text, basically to do almost 5 clients a day. That was my goal. Personally, me, calling some of my clients, text clients. Hey, how are you? How you been? Happy New Year. Touch back in with them. Just so they know that we're still here. We're still doing business. Thank you for doing business with us, right? We were able to do what we do because of my clients, my customers. So it's appreciation. So I wanted to show the first quarter my appreciation to my clients.
I might need to add that to my task.
Okay.
Making me look bad.
Second, of course, is my monetary goal, which I'm hoping will derive from my first goal, right?
Okay.
Being more forward-facing with my clients, right? And then my second quarter is doing more live in-person events.
Got you.
And doing more podcasts.
That's good. Because we need to do more podcasts.
Yeah.
We are in this thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. So I got some more, but that's like third quarter.
For sure.
But my first quarter goals are being more client-facing, reaching out to 5 clients every day, and doing more team training with my team. So I told them, just thinking like, hey, going into the new quarter, once a week, which I'm going to probably designate Tuesday to be team building, doing some type of building us as a team and education.
No, I like it. I think for me, as I look in this, of course, there's overall improvement of our business operations. Yeah. So,
what'd you do for New Year? What you going to that?
Well, listen.
Did you and Key go out? Y'all go? What you?
Well, we just came back from North Carolina. We was out visiting with her brother. He's in the Navy, so came on the East Coast. So we went up to Charlotte.
What is that? It's like, no, I don't know.
I don't know what they do.
Okay.
I was Army, so that was hua.
Okay.
I don't know nothing about nobody else.
Always a grunt of something. Like, ooh, I'm like, okay, wait a minute.
Right. I don't know what the sailors do, right? I should, because my brother and brother-in-law in there, right? Wow. So, but no, we visited with them. It was real dope. We took the, whole family went out. So we was up in Charlotte. So that was really, really good. As we brought in our new year and leaving out of Christmas. So it was good. Have fun.
Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah.
So what's your New Year's resolution? You thinking about losing weight, making more money,
all the things,
having more dates with wifey,
all the things, all the things. So, overall, right, there's a lot of stuff, of course, I'm always trying to accomplish. Yeah. But I think if I put it in a nutshell, there's going to be the improvement of our business operations and acquiring more customers. So that's always a focus, acquiring new customers. And making sure we're just over-serving. No matter what we do, what we charge, how we show up, I want to make sure that me and our company, we over-serve in every capacity.
I think that's good.
So with that, I also want to make sure I want to master one skill for the year, and that skill is communication. Nice. I'm on a hunt to master the skill, the art of communication.
That's a good one.
And so as I think about that one skill helps develop a whole lot of things.
Absolutely.
Right? On our value ladder that I got from Myron.
I might add that to mine. But I might master the skill of listening.
Master
the skill of listening.
From a value perspective that I got from Myron, right? Communication is one of those things that could solve a lot of problems.
Yeah.
I guess this might be a quick whiteboard moment. So
let's go to the board.
From a value ladder, right? Myron said there's 4 levels of value. And this is why I'm like, we got to master communication. I'm not going to do the ladder, but from a value standpoint, 4 levels of value that he got from the book of Genesis, the first and the lowest level being implementation.
Yeah.
Spell.
I might add that. I think I'm an okay communicator. I could definitely be better.
The second being unification. Right? So when you think about implementation, we're talking about the people who actually do the work, right? So you are involved in actually making
and doing the thing
and doing the said thing, right? But you mastered doing the thing so well that we're able to jump out of that, and now we could jump into the next level, which is unification. So now think about somebody who's on the floor, and now they become a manager. Now I can manage the person who have done the thing because I did the thing so well and I know what to do.
Yeah.
So from the unification standpoint, I become like a manager, right? So people who in the implementation standpoint make anywhere from $0 to, let's just say, $60,000 a year. From the unification standpoint, you probably making anywhere from let's go from 60 to about 100 or to about 250,000 if we got a good government job, right? So you think about a good Lockheed Martin person, right? The third level, we going right into the 2 higher levels of communication, and that's of levels, and the third one is communication. So when you think about communication, the person who can communicate best, right, can have the ability to not only move the masses of the people, you can entertain. So you talking anybody from who's a speaker all the way up to the Beyoncés of the world that influences people with her song and singing capabilities, right? And so communication helps you be able to give out your message, and messaging leads to marketing, because if I got a good message, now I can market better. And now all that's through communication. I can bring in more clients or more customers or whatever that thing is, right? And so these people probably make anywhere from $100,000 a year, and let's call it all the way to a cool $1 million.
Over $1 million.
Right?
Yeah.
Or more, right? Because you think about it, Beyonce made $500,000 off in 3 months. So
come on now, B. That's my girl.
Right? And then the highest level is imagination, right? And that one is so important when you think about the first line in Genesis, God created the heavens and earth. He thought about that. Thought about what he was going to do, his intentions on doing it, right? He thought about it. When you think of imagination, you think of somebody like Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs came up with the product of Apple, but he had an implementer, Steve Wozniak, who actually produced the computer. But we don't know Steve Wozniak. We know who? Steve Jobs.
For sure.
Because he was the imaginator.
That's like Elon Musk, most of them that create and come up with the idea.
For sure.
Yeah, the visionary.
For sure.
Yeah.
So from an imagination standpoint, we're making anywhere from $1 million, and now people making trillions. Right? So when I think about that, I was like, what's the number one thing that I could commit to that I feel like will be for the advancement of my whole ideal? And that's communication. Because not only could I deliver the proper message to get more clients, I also can communicate with my wife and children better. I can communicate with my friends and our business relationships, right? So being able to master that skill is of a huge importance to me. So I might be looking for I am looking for a coach. Whoever's a good speaking coach.
I'm writing on my goal. Better communicator. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm an okay communicator. I think I don't always have like the best phraseology or the best words, or sometimes I get kind of in my head about what I want to say. Yeah. So I do like that a lot. Yeah. It takes me longer to trigger and engage with someone. I'm not like, some people that can immediately connect with you and connect with stuff. You know what I mean? I'm like a marathon runner. It's going to take me a minute to build it up.
You got to get warmed up.
Right.
But communication helps us, and so with that, that's why I say that one thing accomplished so many goals. Yeah. Because now I'm being intentional about writing more. Now I write just about my day. Mm-hmm. So, and how does it help me from a business standpoint is now I keep track of a business journal. Mm-hmm. So now, let's say whatever I do. Today we just recorded the episode of the podcast. I went out and did this. We did lunch.
Nice.
Right? So now if I track my day, that's like, oh, well, if I say, hey, we went and did lunch, had a business meeting, I journaled it. Yeah. We got the receipt. Yeah. So the IRS come knocking. That's right. All of it aligned, right?
It's all connected.
It's never outside. And then from me being able to write more, it makes me be more intentional about reading more. Yeah. Now, if I read more, I get to learn more words. I get to express myself better, and I get to bring about weird facts and stuff to be able to
tie in stuff for sure.
And it helps us with the podcast as we on this track of getting to at least our first 100 episomes.
Right, we got to be better. We definitely we got to read more. We have to for sure. I'm 100%.
So that's my goals, y'all. I want to be a better communicator. So y'all hold me accountable to those goals.
Right. Okay. I added that to mine. So along my 90. I'm gonna do. I have to think about what I'm gonna do each quarter to make me a better communicator. Like I need like an action plan, right? So when we talk about goals, right? And people setting goals, that kind of goes into what we're talking about today, right?
Which is commitment,
right? And getting those goals down, what that looks like, how, right? By taking the year, and chopping it down, and moving the needle, so that the stuff you're doing is actually moving the needle, right? That it's not just busy work. It's not. So then you look up, 6 months have gone past, and you haven't really accomplish any of your goals because you were focused on some things that really aren't about moving the needle. So what are some things that we can help the people and help ourselves, right? We talk about our own goals, some things that we could do and help other people really obtain their goals for the new year, right? Because most people are sprinters, right? They're super excited in the beginning and they're off to the races January and February. March, they may still be engaged. but by that second quarter,
not really.
It is done. They've burnt out their lungs. They have no more strength and momentum to keep going in the race. And they have really kind of quit on themselves and their goals. I mean, we can see. I used to work at LA Fitness years ago when I was in college.
Let's not talk about these weight loss goals.
Okay. I was the
gym membership
front desk manager. Thank you very much. I would be there at 5 a.m. at Bala Kenwood, if anybody. Okay. That used to be me. That used to be me showing up at 5 a.m. to open the gym. Scan here and come on.
I can't even imagine that.
I was
5 a.m.
Oh, you think 5? Oh yeah, your girl. And I wasn't late. It would be me and like 12 consistent people who would show up
on
time every day at 5 a.m. to work out before they went to work or anything. They were committed and they would be there every day. And and then some of them would be like, I got to get here before the New Year's resolution people, because they take up all the bikes and in 2 months they're not going to be here anymore. And I'm like,
people who's committed.
Right. And I never really dawned to me until a few months later, and I said, oh yeah, the gym is light. It's 10 o'clock. There's no one here. We've quit.
That's an every year thing.
We've quit on ourselves. Oh, January 3rd, the gym is packed.
Yeah.
It is packed. You can't even get a bike. an elliptical, a stepper. You can't even get an air roller. Everybody is like, I got to lose weight. By March, baby.
Christmas weight.
You're like, it's dust on the elliptical. Ain't nobody been on here.
That's crazy. So, I mean.
But we lose interest.
Right.
We lose interest. We burn out fast and lose interest because I don't think we have actionable, obtainable steps to help us keep moving and propelling us forward. We might not have a community around us to help hold us accountable. And then I honestly feel like people really don't want the thing. I feel like sometimes people are afraid to win, are afraid of success, afraid to actually accomplish the thing that they set out to do. Almost like a self-sabotage.
I don't disagree. I think with that though, there's a lack of clarity. Mm-hmm. And then we don't have, when you think about it, we don't have principles that hold us accountable to what we need to accomplish. You know what I mean? So like, as we set this tone for commitment, my man Solomon in Proverbs, like I got to read it to see, because we got to be committed. And I think this scripture, I was reading it helps me understand why to be committed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. And I'm not necessarily going to go into different scriptures on why you need to be committed to a said thing, but I'll just say, before I read it, I'll say a few things. Right. I think if we find our purpose in life, and understand our why, and we have clarity around who we supposed to serve, when we supposed to serve it, it'll allow us to have a direction to get up and run. Mm-hmm. It's just like nature. Every morning, the lion and the gazelle wakes up.
Come on, E.T.
They both.
You better come on, Eric Thomas.
And that's why I got that from too.
Come on, Eric Thomas.
They both running, but both of them serve two purposes.
Yes.
The lion is trying to eat, and the gazelle is trying to do what?
Survive. Get them. Yes.
And I think when we look at the condition of our people, you know, when we go from the poor to rich, as we talk about as continuously on the Minding Your Biz podcast to teach people how to mind their biz, right? We lost that
dog, as he would say, that dog.
We lost that character to make our survival just better, right?
Yeah.
So in Proverbs, this is Proverbs chapter 10. And I'm going to start at verse 4. It says, he becometh poor that dealeth with slack hands, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich.
All right.
He that gathereth in the summer is a wise son, but he that sleepeth in the harvest is a son that causes shame. Blessings are upon the head of the just, but violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. Right? And there's another verse I'm going to scroll down to, where it says, in verse 14, it says, the wise man lay up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near destruction. The rich man's wealth is in his strong city. The destruction of the poor is their poverty. Mm-hmm. Right? When I read that, I'm like, that is the thing, the substance, the meat and potatoes for you being committed. Mm-hmm. If you lazy, you're going to filter in poverty.
Yeah.
Right? So how committed are we? All of us are saying, hey, I want to start a business. Then you start business. Then it's, oh man, I want to make 6 figures. I want to make 7 figures. But we're not committed to that process. Are you willing to become the person that is going to take you to be a 6-figure person or a 7-figure person or beyond?
And commitment. And so it's so funny that you talk about commitment. Literally, like 2 weeks ago, I went to ET's Forward, and he talked about this very same thing and talking about commitment and having a higher level of commitment and going into covenant.
Yeah.
And having a spiritual connection so strong that nothing but God could tear you away from your goal, from the focus, the singular thing that you're focused on doing, that the covenant with God, the covenant to the thing you're doing also becomes spiritual, becomes supernatural, that nothing can take you away from it, right? And having a commitment to something is good, right? You're like, you know what? I want to have a commitment to this. I want to finish this thing out. But he talked about going higher and having a covenant, right? Making it biblical, right? Really walking in your purpose, that no matter how long it's going to take you, you're still in that covenant with God and moving forward to the mark, right? Because that's why people fail. That's why they stop on themselves, because they don't have a true covenant about what they're doing. They're not clear, right? What you were saying, having clarity, knowing your purpose, I think is why people don't continue the journey, why they crash and burn. Why they start off real hot and heavy, because there's no true covenant. They lose interest because that's not their true calling, and they're in it for the wrong reason. I feel like.
I love you went into that. You know why? Because people don't understand. We talk about lack of clarity, and ET said there's no covenant with God. The first question somebody should ask themselves is, what's the covenant? Or what is it? What does it mean to be in the covenant?
Yeah.
And so when you look at that, the first thing that pops in my head that was memorable to me was Abraham. God made a covenant with Abraham. This is where, all you medical professionals out here, this is where we first find the difference between the righteous and the wicked was from the covenant of Abraham, and God told him to circumcise his children, him and his children, and those people that he, and the servicemen that he bought. So all men that it was in his arena, his servants and his children and himself, they went on a circumcision. But anyway, to go into the word covenant, right? To make a covenant with God allowed Abraham to go on a sacrifice he told him to sacrifice certain animals. I forget the scripture where it says. He says sacrifice certain animals, right? Because, as everybody knows, you couldn't see God. You can only walk with God's voice. Mm-hmm. So to see him, you would be dead, right? But so God made a covenant, and he did it through the sacrifice. It was a blood covenant. Did it through the sacrifice of these animals. But the covenant means that he held Abraham accountable to the fact that if you break your word, mm-hmm. you sacrifice your life. Mm-hmm. So if I'm in a covenant with God, that means if God breaks his word, right, mm-hmm. he's in the sacrifice with death. And God's not going to break his word, because in the beginning was the word was with God, and the word became flesh. So all he have is his word. And we're so quick to... this is so good. We're so quick to not keep our own word to ourselves, mm-hmm. and don't even talk to the God within to hold ourselves accountable to be committed through a process that we can't even keep our word with other people. And I think about that in anything that we involved in. Why don't we stop doing business deals and we start doing covenant deals? If we're in a partnership, if I'm covenant and we enter into a covenant, yeah. I give my life to see this succeed.
Absolutely.
Which means I'm going to give my all for it. But my family involved, everything, marriage, everything.
That's a true, and that's commitment. That's adding spiritual.
Get me started.
Spiritual. Elements to it, right? A spiritual connection to it, because most people don't stick to something long enough
to see it happen.
Even see it happen, to see it to fruition. Why they can't make a covenant,
for sure,
right? Because it's sometimes self-serving, right? Even sometimes their commitment they say they make with God. Oh God, if you do this, God,
if you get me out of this one, Lord,
come on, God. It's like, really?
I'll never.
Really? That's what you're going to ask God?
For sure.
But you don't even see it and stick to the said thing long enough to even have God bless you.
Yeah.
You're ready to quit before, and I get it. It's a microwavable age.
And
TikTok, Instagram makes everything look like it happens yesterday. Right?
Ain't no more. That microwavable age is killing us. Ain't no more grandma kitchen.
It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time. It takes time to see the benefit of your work.
Yeah.
And if you're in the covenant, like you say you are, right? Then it's not about your time anyway. It's God's time. So you're doing said thing for the benefit of the kingdom and for what God is asking you to do. You're like, hey, it's not about me anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep moving forward. And I know when it comes to pass, it's going to come to pass because I built a covenant with God. And so when we talk about our business goals, right? The goals that you have for your business, what does that look like? Are you in covenant to succeed, to make it win, right? Yeah. So I said, you know what? I want a 50% growth, God. What is my covenant to make it happen? I still have to do actionable steps. Okay, well, Farah, I said I was going to contact 5 clients a day.
Yeah.
That's my commitment. That's my covenant. If I don't do that, then I cannot dare expect the 50% growth and go, God failed me.
Yeah.
God did this. No, you did it because you didn't your word wasn't your bond.
For sure. And in that, you look at it like, somebody might be like, well, yeah, you contacting 5 people, blah, 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 that still serves you. But no, that's why I like business. We're in the business to serve other people. So the more committed you are to improving the lives of others, and we just so happen to do it through taxes and finance, right? To navigate that space between you getting a refund or maximizing your tax
or even saying if we're doing a consultation about your tax implications and I uncover that you're trying to buy a home,
right?
Which helps bring BlackWealth, which helps house the unhoused, which value I feel like is a principle that God would like His people to have a home and build wealth, right?
He sure do.
So I'm also doing God's work. It may not look the way you want it to look,
right?
But I feel like that's the mission God bestowed on me.
Listen, I did a post the other day. I said entrepreneurs are the real superheroes, right? Why? Because we the ones that's out here that we're the unselfish. Now, do you got some people? I'm not saying it's a one shoe fit or it's a one size fit all, because you got some people who are self-serving and they do make it. You got some rich people who are self-serving and they do, but most of us are in a position to where we have received God's abundance, right, by serving the people He sent us here to serve with whatever product or service we have. We couldn't do podcasting without the people who were skilled enough to be able to work them switchboards and the cameras and all that stuff for us to be out here.
Because they had a covenant.
The message, right?
They had a covenant. Thank y'all for y'all covenant. Being committed. And
entrepreneurship looks like an exchange. Yeah. For you giving value in your skill, I exchange my value, which might be money, time, or service to help and we all win. But nobody's committed. Like you said, we don't want to stay in stuff long enough. So how committed are you going to be in 2024 to the fulfillment of what does that look like? Because being intentional about saying, hey, I want to be, people might be like, well, how fast can I make 7 figures? My question would be, how fast can you become the person to make 7 figures?
Right. How committed are you in those things, those skill sets you need to grow and have to be the person that can manage and grow and scale?
Yeah.
7 figures.
Because somebody can make 7 figures in 2 months. Somebody can make 7 figures in 6 months. It might take somebody a year. But in that commitment, there's a sacrifice I make every single day where I got to lay down distractions, and distractions might sound mean at the time to the people I love. There's less time I'm spending with my wife. There's less time I'm spending with my kids. There's less time I'm spending with friends partying and stuff. Yeah. There's less times I'm doing I'm missing certain activities and things. Why? For the advancement of the sacrifices that I'm making. Most people ain't willing to pay that price.
For sure. So the first thing is make a commitment. Write it down and make it plain.
Make a commitment.
Make a commitment to the goals that you want and put them in bite-sized nuggets. 90-day increments work for me. Yeah. Every 90 days, whatever you said day 1, you should be done on day 90, right?
For sure.
What does that look like? And doing the actionable steps every 90 days that help you get to the yearly goals. 90-day goals. I think that is a great way to start chopping down your goals for the year. Yep. Right. And it can change every 90 days as well. It should. Right. There should be some things that are similar. Right. Because we're like, hey, your goal is communication for the year.
Right.
So in that 90-day increments, you're going to have activity around being a better communicator. Yep. Right. So mine, I say, hey, I'm piggybacking on that. So I'm about to do some research. What are the things I could do? What can I watch? What can I read to help me become a better communicator? So every 90 days, I need to be reading a book.
Right.
Taking a class, a course, watching something that feeds into me being a better communicator, right? So if you do it in 90-day increments, write it down and make it plain, right?
And a good book for that is called The 12-Week Year. I forget the author, but if you just put it in our platform, The 12-Week Year, you talk about doing actionable goals every 90 days.
Yeah.
Right, taking large size and turning them into bite size so you can accomplish it.
No, for sure. That's what your finances. That's what you want to lose weight. Do it in 90-day increments. I started that. We did a little bit of it in the past, but it was really just for finances.
Yeah.
But once I started adding the finances with my personal goals, started it this time last year being an Ease Mastermind. It really helped me start like, oh God, I did this.
Right,
I did that. Even for my team.
For sure.
Because they had a clear vision, right? It wasn't all in my head. I had to write it down and make it plain. And then communicate it to the team that, hey, in this 90-day increment, this is what our goals are.
Right.
And so that if I don't talk to you today and I don't bring it up every day, this is the goal. You guys know what we need to do. And I think that has been really helpful for me and the team.
For sure.
To get those 90-day goals in.
So maybe like a subcategory, not necessarily step 2, but write the vision, make it plain.
Yeah.
So for you to lay out 90-day goals, the next thing within that, you need to write down your goals.
Yeah, like you need to know them. Yeah.
Write down your goals.
Yeah.
Right? And when they're on paper, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but magic happens. When it's written down, it gets accomplished.
Yeah.
It gets fed, it gets done, right? And I think a good step 2 would be have small wins.
Yeah, celebrate.
I think a lot of us don't stay committed to it because we don't have small wins.
And that helps with the 90 days.
For sure. It's all right. That's why that's the first one, for sure.
And I think a part of celebrating
like every day, every week, or every month, there should be something that you know that you can easily
attain. Yeah.
So you can be like, no, I did it. Yeah. And it's all in the movement of my forward commitment.
You moving forward. So after 90 days, you should be able to look back and go, dag, we did this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Now I can celebrate that.
Yeah.
Now you can then do what? Based on your budget.
Yeah.
Reward yourself monetary if you want to go on a trip, because we talked about that in episode 1.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You could buy yourself that bag if you want it because you accomplished something.
Yeah.
The reward was tied to the goals that you accomplished.
For sure.
So I think that's another one. Reward yourself.
Yeah.
Tie it into your budget. Yeah.
That A is reward.
Yeah. Reward the wins.
And then when we look about commitment, I'll say 3, make an accountability partner.
Yep. Your who is going to hold you accountable? Give them your 90-day plan. Hey, this is
somebody write it out. Yeah. So if I say, hey, these are my, like I just told you, and we just told the world, right? My biggest thing is the communication, right? Yeah. So what's that I say? Hold me accountable, right? So now we get to hold each other accountable, and that could be from an accountability partner, that could be your spouse, that could also be your coach. If you are paying a coach, tell them what you're trying to do so they can hold you accountable. That's what they're there for.
For sure.
So you got any more or what?
No, that was
probably good bite size. Y'all take that in.
That was good. That was like what I had on. That was basically what I had. The accountability community or coach or person is really key, especially if you're a person that lacks a little bit of self motivation and you need a push. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Yeah. And I think the clarity part that you talked about, knowing what you want, but also knowing who you are, is really important because it helps you figure out who you need.
Yeah.
If you know, like, dag, I'm really not a self-starter.
Yeah.
That's really not my lane. I will procrastinate and put this thing off as long as I can. I need to be around a community that's going to push me forward.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I think just to tie this up, the last thing I would say, just to give the encouraging words, is don't give up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And I think when we talk about don't give up, this is where the not being self-serving come into play. Because who am I doing this for? What's my why behind? Like, what's the importance of Eagle Financial Group? What's the importance of Mind Your Biz? Right? We started this so that we could educate business owners, the veteran business owners, all business owners, to be able to advance their business. And the bigger reason for it, at least from my perspective, as y'all seen in the last week episode, is for us to advance our people, poor people, to switch their class. Yeah. There's enough poor people out here and there's enough wealth out here, let me say it that way, to where we don't have to suffer. Your reality does not have to be your reality, and it could change from the moment you make a decision to do so and live a better life. And that's that's the main reason for even Mind Your Biz, right? So why you're doing this, so we can stay committed. If we don't show up here or drop an episode every Wednesday, who are we not helping by advancing them or improving their business and helping their business grow and succeed? And if we don't do that, it's a trickle-down effect. Absolutely. They're not feeding their family. They're not uplifting their community. They don't have the time to show up to their HOA meetings and et cetera, right? So it's all a trickle-down effect. Right. And vote, right? So, so as we tie this thing up, right, like being committed, I think it's just revisit that covenant with God.
Yeah.
And yourself. Find out your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And instead of making a commitment, maybe.
Okay, I do have one more. I'm sorry. I do have one more. I do have one more.
I do like odd numbers.
I do have one. I do like odd numbers. Be focus on one thing.
Yeah.
Focus on one thing. Be singular and master your craft.
Yeah.
Master your craft.
No, I like that. One thing. There's a book about that too.
One thing.
So you focus on the one thing. Why? Because we can't. ET talk about that. We can't juggle all the stuff. But if you do one thing at a time, eventually you start getting good to add into your plate, right?
Yeah, because you can't. The thing that you want to be that covenant with God, right? And you can't really. I don't want to go back down.
Right.
So I'm gonna just hit it and quit it real fast and just touch on it. But being singular, being exceptional, it can't happen.
Yeah.
On the sprint.
Yeah.
Right? You can't really craft and fine tune and get that stew going, the perfect chili. Yeah. Right? It has to sit. It has to fester. It has to be singular. It has to like grow into something. And you can't do that if you don't have a covenant and you're not committed for the long haul. Right. And so you can't. And so when people aren't singular, right? Meaning you aren't extraordinary, you aren't exceptional. You have to figure out how you can do that.
For sure.
And I think we coddle people and we don't really lay it out there. You have to be exceptional. You have to be the best at what you're doing. You have to fine tune your craft so that people want to pay you for the thing that you're selling. Yeah. Like, I think that we kind of want to throw out kind of subpar products and not really be the best that we feel like God should.
Like, take the time to nurture your business for it to really serve people.
Yeah.
And you not taking people money and not giving them a good product.
Yeah.
Like, just take the time to
be singular.
Right. I mean, just so from a business perspective, right? Y'all know I created the Entrepreneurial Quadrant. And so I think that one of the biggest things as we even talk about commitment, we're going to call this the EQ. Right? We got founder, CEO, business owner, investor. Take the time to figure out where you are. Mm-hmm. A lot of us are still in this founder stage where we just like, oh, business is cute. I want to do my little thing on the side. I got my little arts and crafts on the side. I could do taxes. I do, 10 to 15 tax clients on the side. I'm going to play around with the camera. I might get 1 or 2 clients. But find out where you are so you can quickly move the needle from founder to CEO. You going from founder to CEO is you becoming the person that's getting to the 7 figures. Because it's really not about the money. But if you attach that to it, is you becoming the person who can make 7 figures.
Becoming.
So you can always make it, and it changes your environment and condition, right? And so when you think about that, I like to think about where I'm at. At a certain point, I was like, listen, we're in the founder stage, and I need to go from founder to CEO. Yeah. What does that mean?
Right.
I need to hire another coach. And then when I found out, like you said, the one thing I just choose to focus on is communication. Mm-hmm. But that solves so many problems. Right. It's enough to take up in a year.
What is my becoming? Who do I need to become?
For sure.
I need to be singular in what area so I can get to where I need to get to.
Right.
And I think all that ties into that, having the covenant, being singular. Yeah. Write it out and make it plain.
Yeah. Cool, y'all. So listen, that's a wrap on our episode, right? Being committed, right? Make sure that you just find something to stick to.
Yeah.
Build a covenant between you and that thing, especially God, and commit to it. Don't give up. We gave y'all the 5 steps that we think that these are steps that we use, and we think that you could use them to make sure you fulfill on your commitment, right? So make sure you
like, share, and subscribe. Right?
Make sure.
Build a covenant with us.
Yeah.
Be committed to our journey, okay?
We committed to y'all.
Like, share, and subscribe, y'all.
Yeah, this is a new year. So
Happy New Year.
Listen, make sure y'all go out there and kill and seize the year. If there anything, topics y'all want us to discuss, let us know, all right? We committed to you, and we hope you be committed to us. Peace.
What he said.